Hey y'all, it's MJ from Alta Love, and today I want to talk about emotional healing and transformation. They go together, and why our ability to own and transform our emotions is really the key to our healing and transformation. So, if we understand a vibrational reality, if we understand the workings of the law of attraction, so that's really off that quantum leap perspective shift or theory of us being in a vibrational universe. So everything is vibrating and is a frequential wavelength of energy. So we as beings are one with that. And even if we simplify, it's kind of obvious. We rise and fall, we have ups and downs, and we tend to have cycles. We live in a cyclical way, which means we're living in a kind of habitual, patterned way. So, transformation to me is looking or noticing, paying attention to our cycles more so than our ups and downs, because as far as I'm aware, the ups and downs just continue, but it's these roundabout cycles that we can shift and uplift by owning and transforming the emotions that we're harboring or carrying on a certain frequency. And ultimately, those become apparent to us by the way that we feel. And this ultimately has come up with certain exchanges and in my own relationships, as far as how easy it is to default back into, well, you did this to me, and so I don't care to move forward, or I don't care to let go, or I don't want to forgive, or something like that. And we can say the words, but energetically, if we're not doing the work, if we're not really owning and transforming our own emotions as our own, and that's the kind of clincher there. We could talk about this stuff, but if we're not integrating the emotional body, so if there's even still a part of us that believes that that person did that to me, which is justifying how I feel, then we ultimately hold and carry the grievance within us. So unfortunately, then what will happen will that we destroy that, and then we recreate something else, but we recreate it on the same level. So we'll end up kind of perpetuating slightly less than desirable patterns in our lives, because we're not really owning the totality of who we are. So how does it work? On if we think of our physical bodies as operating on various different frequencies pretty much all at once, then the shift of denying and just like powering through into owning, holding space, and transforming the emotional body. So it really is by shining the light of your awareness onto energies of a certain frequency: guilt, shame, fear, anger, resentment, jealousy. When we can pick up and notice those and like shine light of them and be like, I see you and I'm noticing you, and I can see the kind of divisive thinking patterns that go along with that energy. And then you just keep shining the light until it dissolves and you have a clear, loving perspective. And the loving perspective really is in unity with everybody. So a loving perspective really does get us to a place where everybody wins and everybody is allowed to be who they are, and everyone has divine free will, because in essence we're all sovereign beings. So even if someone's not acting how I want them to act or saying what I want them to say, my only real responsibility is to come back to myself, because the work for me has been just being sovereign and being totally okay with who I am, and that's alone, that's independently, that's single, that's in relationships. And ultimately what other people choose is their choice. And we get to kind of different places in our lives, I think, where we have different desires, and we also are endeavoring different levels of commitment to ourselves. And ultimately, if we're asking or desiring and moving in the direction of those higher desires, or those more expansive desires, if our vibration and our field is moving outward, and anyone in our energy field is not vibrating that, no matter what we think, if in their heart and being, if they're not vibrating that energy, they fall away, right? We go in different directions, we make different choices, and ultimately when we do that, we start to shift. Rochelle, hello. Ah, this is so exciting. It's my first time that someone's commented while I'm actually vlogging on YouTube. Hi, Rochelle. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining in today. We're just talking about the emotional body. And here is the juice, okay? So, working with the emotions is like the best preventative medicine because it's the accumulated impact and stress of denying the emotional body and ultimately having a distortion and false perception around the emotional body as well that continues to distort the emotions, i.e., the energy, i.e., the cells of our body. Things really wrong, right? Okay, cool, Trika. I'll ignore you, but thanks anyway. It's exciting for me. So our catching the emotion, and that's where body work, physical exercise like yoga or Tai Chi, that stuff actually really helps us because we become more sensitized. It's really not about how fit our bodies look or anything. Although, I mean, it can be for some of us when we first start yoga, but the deeper transformative healing spiritual work of yoga is simply the fact that we become more sensitized, i.e., we begin to have a more direct experience with our own self. And then that direct experience helps us, again, to have the groundedness and power and love to hold space for any of the emotions that come through us. And then once we can start harmonizing and being present rather than reacting to. So, harmonizing and being present with our emotions rather than reacting. And again, when I say rather than reacting, I mean throwing them back at someone or something outside of us. Pull it in and integrate it, own it. And this is like the subtlety because people are like, yeah, I'm feeling this way. And I'm like, yeah, but are you consciously owning the fact that it's yours? It's not the systems and it's not outside of you and it's not that person's. How you feel is yours. And it really is the power we have to own even our darkest shadow, even our scariest feelings, even our ugliest feelings of unworthiness and undeserving. When we own that, that is the moment of power. That is the moment of transformation. And that is ultimately the moment of healing. Because once more and more of us really, really work with the emotional body, i.e., the energy that makes us up, then we can start to radiate that more radiant human, the beings who are self-responsible and look after themselves and own their emotions and all of that are typically healthy, happy, radiant people. And the masses, the disempowered, enslaved masses, have been denied. So we, as the masses, we want to start lifting the lid and carving that new path with, again, integrity that just because you have this information or that you know that you have this power doesn't give you any right to disempower the mass, right? So we empower ourselves through owning and transforming the emotional body and then are pioneering that new way. We'll be guided, and that's the beauty of divinity. We're all being guided to the higher levels. It's just really fucked up and scary on the way because we're facing our shit. We're facing the deepest, darkest aspects of humanity because we talk about we've been coming from the dark ages. We're still peeling back the veils, and those veils are dark and they're painful, and we have to own it because somehow it's a part of our own creative capacity, our ability. And we know this even when we're all love and light. We fuck up and we make mistakes and we hurt people by accident or just through our own unconsciousness. So even in maybe a less severe way, owning the fact that we make mistakes and we're hurting and they're hurting, and that helps forgiveness, that helps with compassion, and ultimately helps to continue to set us on that path of love and expansion. So nice to see you guys actually showing up. This is exciting because I've been doing the live stuff a long time on Facebook, but I've just started really committing to daily vlogging on YouTube as well because all y'all, I know, right? And one, you're not alone. We are all in this together, and more of us sharing it, I think, makes us realize that, oh, even the people that look all shiny and happy, I know behind closed doors, there's still intensity. There's still emotional grit that we don't expose in the media, right? There's still behind the scenes emotional grit that everyone is having to deal with. It's just that in the mainstream imbalanced the reality that we've created, we're having to really lift the lid on it, because big, 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 big changes are happening in the world, and holy hell, some of them are going to trigger massive fear responses in us, and we can either start freaking out and getting really panicked about all the insanity, or we can start to ground down, get focused, get loving, and get organized. And that is something that we haven't yet really fully seen the manifestation of, is that loving power starting to organize itself. Because that's like another brewing fear among like the hippies or the new paradigm communities, is like, okay, we're starting to align with all this, but then how do we start to organize it? And again, that has to do with that divine timing and alignment, people navigating and connecting in with one another. And then ultimately, the manifestation will show us, our lives will show us how to keep moving in the most peaceful, harmonious, and loving perspective, and also in a way that shines light for the people who are beginning their awakening process as well. So thanks a lot for listening today. I'm so happy to see more people tuning in. This is exciting. Make sure to check me out on Facebook as well. I do live shares on there. The Fearless Life Tribe is a donation-based private Facebook group. If you buy the book, The Fearless Life Guide, and you want to actually kind of work with the method and the material and study it, the Fearless Life Tribe is just a private Facebook group where I do shares daily based on the tribe's kind of questions, comments, visions, and all that stuff. And then we hold space. Tribe members also get 10% discount on all Alta Love events. I think that's it. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm so happy to actually like engage with you guys on YouTube. It's a first for me, so I'm pretty excited about that. Rochelle, have an awesome day. Whoever else is listening, love you tons, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace out. Bye.